When the shooting stopped, there were many families across the community that didn't know if their loved ones were affected. And so there was a family reunification center set up nearby the mall where the shooting occurred. And so as a faith-based organization, our faith leaders were on the ground providing a shoulder to cry on, talking to people who were waiting to see if their loved ones had been killed, if their loved ones had been injured, if they were in the hospital, if they were hiding in the mall. This is also a community that has been very militarized, and so we have the presence of a lot of federal agencies like Border Patrol and ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, who all mobilized to be able to respond to what happened. Because of that, there were some folks who may have been intimidated or afraid, whether to go to the Family Reunification Center or the hospital or to contact law enforcement. And so throughout this period, we've served as an honest broker so that folks don't have to worry right now about things like immigration status or being documented or undocumented.
And even though ICE said that they're not performing enforcement actions immediately following the shooting, just the presence of the vehicles, you're saying, was enough to thwart some immigrants who might be undocumented? Yeah,
we've seen threats of massive deportations in the past weeks, in the past month. And so naturally, when you see a Border Patrol vehicle, you're going to wonder about status. You're going to wonder about whether you can trust the authorities. And so we need to continue as a community. We have built trust with these agencies. But truth be told, in the last couple of years under the Trump administration, a lot of that trust has been eroded. After the inauguration, one of the things that we saw here in this community is that calls to the police and to law enforcement, for example, for things like domestic abuse plummeted because people were afraid. Because that was the tone that was being set in Washington by this president.
Just to play devil's advocate here, do you feel like the ICE agents or Customs and Border Patrol agents have been unfairly villainized? Because there are a lot of them who are Latino and, come from similar families or have similar stories in their backgrounds.
Yeah, we wrestle with those issues every day because this is a community which has thousands of Border Patrol agents, thousands of ICE agents, thousands of CBP agents. And so they're part of our communities, they're part of our churches, they're part of our families. But we've also seen pretty harsh and draconian policies which have separated families, which have terrorized families, which have turned back asylum seekers at the bridge. So this is something that we wrestle with every day. This is visceral for us, and it's not black and white.
You mentioned earlier that you're going to be having a meeting tonight with other community organizers about the potential that President Trump could come and visit this community in the wake of the shooting. What would be your reaction if he came here?
Yeah, this president has used the border, has used migrants right from the beginning, the first day of his campaign. And so for him to walk into a very delicate situation right now when folks are still planning their funerals, when folks are still coming to grips with the news that they've lost loved ones, when folks are survivors are dealing with horrific wounds in the hospital right now, these wounds are still fresh, whether they're physical or emotional. And so he'd be walking into a situation that's very delicate, and he could do a lot of damage.
And Simone joins us now from El Paso, Texas. Simone, I could see the vigil and the memorial behind you. What are you hearing there from the community, and how are they mourning today?
I'll tell you what. Well, Allison, as you just heard from Dylan, there have been a lot of concerns from the undocumented immigrants in this community. He says that his organization had received about a half a dozen calls after the shooting happened, some people just asking questions, some people trying to reunify with their families and fearing that they would see consequences from law enforcement. So this is a community that is grappling with fear right now. Even U.S. citizens who are now afraid to just go into a Walmart and go grocery shopping. But a part of the healing is what you're seeing here right now at this memorial. These white crosses were built by a man named Greg Zanis, and he builds these crosses at tragedies that have taken place all across the country. He numbers each and every one of these, and he's actually already made over 26,000 crosses, if you can fathom that. We have just been blown away by the generosity and kindness of this community, even as this community is grieving. So I want to bring in Carolina. This is a young woman that I met here at the memorial. Carolina, you are from this area. You grew up here. How are you holding up?
I'm just trying to deal with, the fact that this happened at all. my heart goes out to everybody in El Paso that this directly affected. But even then, all of us as a community are really trying to just deal with what's going on and trying to figure out what's happening and just trying to just comfort one another at something like this.
And it's such a small-knit community, tight-knit community. You told me that you have friends of friends who were directly affected by this.
Yeah, El Paso is a fairly large city, but as a community itself, we are small, and we all care about one another. So whether it was your family directly or somebody you know, it hurts us all.
You feel it, right? Yeah. Well, Catalina, I know you're here with friends and family, so I want to let you go and mourn and be with them. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Allison.
Simone, how are people also feeling about the president's upcoming visit? I know that's a big thing a lot of people have been talking about while they're trying to mourn that, this could be a tough thing to deal with in the next day or so.
Yeah, Allison, I've been speaking to people here at this memorial about that, and I've gotten a range of sentiments. One woman went as far to blame the shooting on Trump and say that his rhetoric is what caused this directly. Another woman said that she wants to see this community and this country put politics aside and focus on the people again. And she said that he is our president, and so when he comes here, he demands our respect. So hearing a lot of emotions and a lot of opinions about the president's visit.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.